Yeah, I wanted to jump in to kind of because you mentioned Democrats and what 2024 looks like, at least from where we sit today. Look, obviously it's a lifetime between now and 2024, but there are some ongoing trends within the Democratic Party's base that should be concerning them. So, for instance, we're seeing a pivot among Latino voters toward the Republican Party. And in poll after poll, their top issue, literally number one issue, is the economy. And I think Democrats thought that they could continue riding the wave of, oh, Republicans are bad because of their anti-immigrant rhetoric. And look, they are terrible for their anti-immigrant rhetoric. I agree with them on that. However, in terms of winning elections, you have to meet voters where they're at. And increasingly, Latino voters are swayed by the messaging regarding the economy from the Republican Party. Now, obviously, I fully acknowledge that the Republican Party has no solutions to inflation. You know, they make a big deal about inflation, just like they make a big deal about crime. But what are their solutions? What are they going to do? We never hear any substantive policy proposals or policy solutions from them. But the problem with Democrats is when it comes to the issues that are raised by the voters that they're supposed to be catering to, they either don't want to talk about it at all, or they turn around and they start promoting policies that have no impact on the concerns of these voters. So, for instance, the Inflation Reduction Act has nothing to do with inflation. Nothing. It's named the Inflation Reduction Act, but it has nothing to do with inflation. So Democrats think that they can just keep talking about how they passed the Inflation Reduction Act, but people see what's happening with their personal finances. They see how much inflation is cutting into, whatever disposable income they might have. And honestly, many Americans these days don't have any disposable income. Before the pandemic, nearly 50% of Americans couldn't even afford a $400 emergency. The bread and butter issues is where the Democratic Party at least used to win, but they have completely, neglected and abandoned those issues. They use the rhetoric, but they don't. While they talk the talk, they don't walk the walk. And that's a huge issue. It is. And they don't want to take ownership of that.
Yeah. So let me just preview for you on election day here in the midterms. What is the most likely thing to happen? Trump will run. The people who say he's not going to run, I don't know what planet they're on. I just have no idea why they're saying that. They keep saying it, even though it makes no sense at all. And so he's very, 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 very likely to run. All the Republicans will wet themselves and immediately bow out of the race and start licking all of his boots. And so that's done. The Republican primaries are already done within like literally a week from now when Trump announces he's going to be the Republican candidate. On the Democratic side, Biden's a mess. They're going to lose the elections tonight. And so he's like 287 years old. And after losing the elections, he won't have enough leverage to run again. So Gavin Newsom's been licking his chops, and he's going to come in with his smooth hair. He's going to be like, yeah, I'm like the neoliberal of all time, corporate Democrat, right? And the press is going to give him billions in positive media coverage, billions. And they're going to say, Gavin's the best. He's with the people. He looks like the least with the people person I have ever met in my entire life. Okay, and he looks like, Bruce Wayne and up in his mansion, and every once in a while he puts on a baseball cap. Oh, you're so with the people. Anyways, he had a chance to raise minimum wage here in California. He could put $18 minimum wage on the ballot. He decided not to. So a guy like that, he's going to go in and he's going to try his stupid slick stuff and think that it's going to carry him just like Hillary and Biden did. And if, and things being what they are, if a progressive does not derail Gavin Newsom, Trump will, unfortunately, and it breaks my heart, and it's the worst thing in the world, but probably will annihilate Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, look, Gavin Newsom deserves to be annihilated. I want to give me a minute to just calmly talk about what the reality is in California, where regardless of what anyone says, what you will hear in California among both Democratic voters and Democratic politicians is that all of the issues that we're having today date back to Ronald Reagan. That argument is insane because while Ronald Reagan did do terrible things, including shut down, mental health facilities, which, by the way, JFK also did that. But nonetheless, okay, that was terrible. But Democrats have been in charge for, I don't know, Cenk, you've been around a little longer than me. How long have Democrats been in charge in deep blue California?
A million years. I mean, so
we have a surplus here. We have a surplus, meaning we have money and resources necessary to fix our problems. This is the most expensive state to live in, with the most expensive state taxes, sales taxes. What do we get in return? What do we get in return? So while, yes, we're frustrated and angry right now because we deal with rolling blackouts on the regular, fact of the matter is, yeah, there's a bad situation in Texas too with their privatized, deregulated energy grid. I totally agree with that. Republicans not winning with that energy grid in Texas. But you know what the difference is? In California, they keep telling us about how we're going to have a better quality of life as long as we go along with their policies, pay insanely astronomical taxes, tack on all these additional taxes at the gas pump, which, by the way, those additional taxes are supposed to fix our infrastructure. I mean, the streets are falling apart. There's potholes everywhere. What do you mean it's supposed to be used to fix our infrastructure? Our infrastructure is crumbling as we speak. Okay? In Texas, Republicans tell you who they are, and they do what they say they're going to do. So when they say that they want to privatize everything and they believe in the free market, strategy of governing, okay, that's what they do. And we see how it fails in Texas. But the thing that makes me so sick in California is that people like Gavin Newsom, with his slick hair and his slick talk, make it seem as though he's looking out for the working class. He's looking out for the people who elected him to represent them. He's looking out for clean energy, this, that, like all of these affordable housing. He pulled a stunt this week where he's like, I'm pulling all state funding from organizations dealing with homelessness until they can prove to me that they have a plan that'll work. Oh, how convenient that you're doing that 1 week before the midterm elections. How about you do a little leadership prior to that? And maybe have a better way of keeping track of whether or not these nonprofits or these government agencies are doing what's necessary to ensure that people are freaking housed in the wealthiest state in this country. It's insane. We have a surplus. There is no excuse for us dealing with the situation we're dealing with now in this goddamn state. It is insane. And every time we hear about how, we're building affordable housing, they don't build affordable housing. They do the exact opposite. Okay, they loosen zoning laws in some counties so real estate developers can come in and build luxury condos or luxury apartments that sit empty. That's what's going on in California. So I apologize if my negative commentary toward precious Democrats hurts people's feelings, but we've had one single party rule in this state and they have taken it for granted. They're entitled, right? They're entitled to keep getting elected. There's no real challenge to their power, so they get to do whatever they want. And the same corruption that impacts Republicans in states like Texas is the same virus that's infecting Democratic leadership here in the state of California.
Yeah, last thing I'll say, Gavin Newsom is a guaranteed loss. You'll see it printed. You'll see it with your own eyes. Rich people love Gavin Newsom. They absolutely love him. So everyone in media is rich. Everyone in Democratic leadership is rich. They will give him overwhelming propaganda, and anyone who opposes him, they will try to rip into pieces, right? But regular people are not going to like Gavin Newsom. He's a slick guy who's an old school politician, just try to look fancy and then give the donors what they want. It's a guaranteed loss if we run Gavin Newsom. And what you will see in the media is 100% the opposite of what I just told you. And then when he loses, they'll say it was progressives' fault.